Hello everyone, we are NTB and we believe we have the solution for the wetlands degradation problem. Since the 70s, the area of natural wetlands have reduced by 35%. This 35% mean 3 times the rate of forest loss. It is actually the ecosystem with the highest rate of loss globally. So how is our service the solution for this alarming problem? We have Earth observation solutions that will help us monitorize hydrological aspects such as water levels and biodiversity, and we aim to sell this information to governments for them to tackle the problem by creating policies and rules to stop and reverse wetland degradation. To pursue with the project, we will have to invest mainly on HR, equipment and external services, and therefore we ask for 125,000 of investment. So this project is the application of the VCW framework to Earth observation solutions for wetland challenges. Our team is composed by Annabelle, Santiago, Tanya, and me, José. We will present you the development of the 5 phases of the VCW, starting with the first phase, discover value. So we would like to start by giving you some insights on the problem we're facing. So wetlands can be any habitat such as marshes, floodplains, and coastal areas, seagrass beds, but also some coral reefs and other marine areas, as well as human-made wetlands. Wetlands can they play a core function in the water cycle, improve water quality, and they act as well as source and purifier of water, preventing scarcity while being significantly important ecosystems. They store more carbon than any other ecosystem. Despite its importance, the scenario is far from ideal. The number of wetlands is in decline. As I've told you before, 35% of the natural wetlands have disappeared since 1970. Furthermore, 76% of the population of freshwater species have decreased between the 1970 to 2010, and the water stress has increased globally by 2% in just 3 years. So our challenge is to find the most attractive geographical market to launch our startup NTB for the monitoring of wetlands. We aim to do this through Earth observation satellites using Copernicus Sentinel satellites to gather data on wetlands. This data will we're going to gather are status maps and measurements that will be further analyzed to consider hydrological aspects such as water surface extent, water levels, directions and gradients, as well as to assess biodiversity and its changes over time. We're doing this because of the alarming danger wetlands face, also because governments lack knowledge about the issue, resulting in limited or sometimes inexistent policies. Also because we believe there is a gap between Earth observation and potential end consumers, and because by 2020, 129 countries were not on track to meet SDGs 2030 target for implementing integrated water resources management. Our mission is to deliver user-friendly information, resources and analysis on a near-to-life basis. Our vision is to slow, stop and reverse the trend of wetland degradation, reestablishing the ecosystems within, and bring awareness on the way. We stand by the values of being customer-oriented, environmentally driven, eager for innovative solutions, and hungry for knowledge. Then, regarding the Kpis, we use the balanced scorecard to combine different perspectives, which are internal, short-term, and medium to long-term. In the end, we have identified 9 Kpis. Our main goals and objectives will then be to capture customers, to be innovative, to be efficient in the use of resources, and to supply quality services while being profitable. We have laid out the potential target markets by priority, and as first priority we have governments, ministries and authorities, and wetland associations. As second priority we have research institutions and consultancy firms, and at last farmers and tourism entities, as they also have a role to play in wetland conservation. We have then proceeded with a PASL analysis, and we have analyzed political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors. Among the political factors, we found the lack of recognition of the importance of wetlands and the correlation between countries that still have a higher necessity to implement water resources management plans with countries with higher political instability. Out of the economical, we found the high investment needed that many countries cannot afford. As for social factors, we encountered the lack of consciousness of local communities about the importance of wetlands and the increasing necessity of water supply due to the increasing global population. For technological factors, we point to the high technological dependency and how expensive Earth observation technologies are. Out of the environmental, we highlight the climate change as being a possible opportunity, since recent decisions taken by the United Nations to achieve carbon neutrality and reduce global warming denote the urge for ecosystems preservation and restoration. Lastly, legal scenarios are outlined. NTB might face the lack of globally accepted guidelines and laws explicitly protecting and acknowledging wetlands significance. Next, a SWOT analysis identified internal strengths and weaknesses and external threats and opportunities. To name a few, strengths are represented by having access to high quality images and accurate maps through well-established partnerships. In addition, NTB is a multicultural and educated team composed of the NTB founders as well as local headcounts. Nonetheless, some weaknesses will place uncertainty on a successful service implementation. First, high initial implementation costs are needed. Second, NTB is not experienced in wetland management, thus forming partnerships and creating trust will be challenging. Lastly, due to limited technology background, NTB is to a great extent dependent on satellite providers and other external stakeholders. Furthermore, TAO's analysis have allowed us to come up with a mini-maxi and a mini-mini strategy of fostering alliances and partnerships in order to overcome some of these challenges. From the Porter's 5 forces analysis, we would highlight the considerable bargaining power from customers, since our main target market will be governments. Furthermore, due to the complexity of smart technologies and the consequent reality of copycats, along with increasing competition worldwide and the challenge imposed by customers' loyalty, NTB will also have to deal with the significant intensity of rivalry. A competitor analysis on a service level has allowed us to better understand the different characteristics of the services delivered by each of the competitors and helped us to locate NTB within the market in search of a blue ocean strategy. The one to be highlighted as the next best option would be Globe Wetland Africa, because while only focused on the African continent, its partnership with the European Space Agency and the Ramsar Convention grants them a wide range of resources and customers. Furthermore, it focuses on the same customers, governments, and delivers tools and data on an open source and free of charge basis. When compared in a chart with the services and years of experience as variables, we see that both NTB and Globe Wetland Africa focus their services only on wetland monitoring, but in this case, our competitor has more than 30 years of experience. In order to achieve a better understanding on how different players drive efforts towards sustainability, we have contacted Ramsar Convention and also a hotel with a strong sustainability pillar. Nevertheless, through research of secondary data, it was also possible to include stakeholders such as competitors, possible customers, governments, and suppliers in the upstream market. Key decision makers were the main stakeholders involved. Our project is mostly related to SDG goal number 6, more specifically with target 6.6, which aims to protect and restore water-related ecosystems, including mountains, forests, wetlands, rivers, aquifers, and lakes. We believe that our services will also indirectly meet goals 1, 7, 8, and 13. Our project is also aligned with the Paris Agreement deal. The second phase of the value creation wheel, create value, intends to obtain a wide range of possible filters and solutions, underlined by input of various stakeholders. The feedback obtained from the sustainability manager of the hotel we have contacted added crucial value to the process, since it has also helped NTB understand the role of tourism and sustainable matters. Eventually, tourism was also included as one of the possible filters. At this stage, 193 countries were considered as possible solutions, considering this way all country members of the United Nations. For filter generation, the first method to be pursued was brainwriting, followed by research of secondary data. Each key decision maker investigated on competitors and possible customers through public data available, governmental websites, and services of upstream entities. The key decision makers decided to each prepare around 10 possible filters, resulting in a total of 51 filters. And after that, the team engaged in further brainstorming while discussing some of the suggested filters. And to enhance further filter generation, the NTB team has then proceeded with a 635 method, allowing to increase the number of possible filters to 62. Filters have then been organized by several sections, namely political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal. Nonetheless, the filters obtained reflect not only the environmental and market conditions, but the vision, resources, and capabilities of NTB.
After looking at the phase 2, we will now continue to phase 3. This phase focuses on validating initial idea and brainstorm filters. As already mentioned in the phase 2, the 193 members of the United Nations will be considered as the possible solutions. The reason being high commitment of these nations with the SDGs, which are aligned with the mission, vision, and value of the NTB team. We will now move on to the phase 3B. This phase focuses on selecting the final filters from the larger list of brainstorm filters. In order to evaluate each filters and to understand whether the filter is relevant for further analysis, the poker method was used. Through this method, Each filter was evaluated based on its capability to add value for the analysis of finding the correct market for fermenting NTB services. This framework has 4 different elements. Filters that are not relevant or cannot meet the needs are killed, whereas others that show some potential if changed slightly are reviewed and given a second chance. If a filter can be combined with another filter, it is multiplied. And finally, those filters that are already suitable or meet all the needs for further analysis are kept. Through this process, 41 filters were killed, 6 filters were reviewed, 0 were multiplied, and 15 were kept. Starting with the political segment, 4 main filters were kept, focusing on SDG and Persian Climate Agreement, as higher focus on these factors would mean higher chances of getting public funding and government support, along with the strategic partnership with Ramsar, which was also considered as countries aligned with Ramsar Convention is fundamental for the development of the project. Lastly, Corruption Perception Index was kept as the nice-to-have filter. From the economic segment, 3 main filters were decided to use for global analysis. Ease of doing business is an important indicator on how easy it will or difficult will it be to do the business. Along with this, also GDP as the cost relevant filter. Lastly, Research and Development Index was kept as the nice to have filter in case of further analysis. The team also decided to keep the Human Development Index, but as a nice to have filter in case we needed to find out which country is offering price sensitive services. From the technology filters, we decided to keep the Global Innovation Index. Through this, 80 different innovation metrics were analyzed, which helped understand the willingness and receptiveness of each country to innovation and new technology. The team decided to keep 6 environmental filters for the final selection. Land cover by wetlands fits with the mission of the company. This filter could be complemented with the environmental performance and indicator index, as this helps measure how a country is taking care of its natural resources. Finally, red list, degree of integrated water resources, total population with access to drinking safe water, and fresh water withdrawal were also decided to be kept. Lastly, in the legal segment, no relevant filter was found. Moving on to the phase 3C, where we rank these filters. So, we decided to analyze this into 3 main categories: 12 main filters, 3 nice to have filters, and 3 filters as local filters. As the local filters, we tried to take into account as many areas as possible to have an overview of the possible opportunities within each country. As an example, we use the land cover by wetlands as it relies with the mission of the company, but also to check the potential of our product or services in each country. On the other hand, for nice to have filter, we have Corruption Perception Index and Research and Development Index to measure if it's possible to use our complementary services in the given countries or not. And lastly, we had local filters, which were in a different perspective as to try to understand the real impact of industry in each of these regions where the company can seek more added value.
So now we will continue with phase 4. After examining our filters, we ranked them according to their importance. Through the funneling process, we were able to reduce all possible countries to only 9. And after running through a total of 15 filters, India was eventually chosen as a final target country. And within India, NTB was eager to eventually find a regional destination. In order to do so, we introduced 4 local filters and again ranked them according to their importance. The relevant filters are wetland coverage per hectare, cropping intensity, projected growth of total population, and the foreign direct investment. So to start with, wetland coverage by hectare is the most important filter, as regions with higher hectares of wetlands will give wider range to our service. Next, projected growth of total population was chosen, as increasing urbanization is the main reason for the wetland degradation. Third, cropping intensity was considered. This filter represents how much each region is dependent on cropping, while a higher cropping intensity means higher exploitation of wetlands. Lastly, the foreign direct investment was identified as a local filter. As NTB offers a price-sensitive service, we rely on highly external investments. So high investment willingness in certain states will empower NTB to start business in those regions. As we still had 4 regions left when searching for the most attractive destination, the team applied nice-to-have filters, namely corruption index and tourism. To start with, it is important to consider that corruption greatly affects the local economy, which bears high risk of doing business there, and therefore we chose regions with low corruption. Another nice-to-have filter was applied, and this is tourism. And regions with a high tourism rate will have a higher need of sustaining and maintaining the wetlands. One region remained, and this was Maharashtra, our final destination. As we now identified our target market, let's get more familiar with the need for wetland preservation in India. Over the last 4 decades, India has experienced a loss of about 1/3 of its wetlands, as mentioned before, mainly through increasing urbanization and an extensive use of agriculture. In order to tackle these problems, India put in place favorable financing conditions after attending the 26th Climate Conference. This was also done in order to reach its commitment to ecological commitments. India aims to become net zero by 2070, and this is planned mainly by reducing carbon emissions down to 45%. And in addition, India plans to source 50% of its energy from renewable resources. To underline this optimistic approach, the government put in place favorable legal conditions. Since 2017, each state in India must prepare a list of wetlands and activities permitted while developing an integrated management plan. And as we have seen that there is a need, we can be sure that competition are already in place. The main competitor is presented by Vestaspace, which you can see in the 3rd column. And this is also then considered as the next best alternative to NTB. So based on the main player, NTB created its prototype and in order to do so, the Scamper method was applied. So in particular, we focused on combine, adapt, and modify. So we will combine the usage of classic satellites and drones, which creates more flexibility when it comes to, for example, technical failure or restrictive weather conditions. Then adapting is a major important part for NTB. And in order to create a sustainable wetland generation on all levels, NTB will cooperate with governments, associations, and also small wetland farmers. And lastly, modification is crucial. So the accessibility of real-time data differentiates NTB from other monitoring service providers. And the use of website and app enables the end user to access data on an on-demand basis. However, NTB does not only want to differentiate itself from existing competitors, but also offer the services on a low-cost basis. NTB adapts the blue ocean strategy by accelerating through its global expertise pool. Furthermore, NTB offers personalized consulting by examining a solution-seeking approach. Next, the startup offers a flexible subscription model in a sense that a monthly or annual program can be adopted. And in order to differentiate its service and to broaden its reliability focus, gathering quantitative and qualitative data, NTB incorporates drones. In order to make the value of NTB service visible and to successfully reach out to customer, NTB introduced In order to make the value of NTB services visible and to successfully reach out to customers, NTB introduced a website, an app, as well as a LinkedIn company profile, enabling clients to access to responsive system. In order to successfully establish local relationships and partnerships, NTB will make sure to be locally present. NTB will position itself in Mumbai suburban, as this is a district with the largest wetland area. 11.06% of total area are covered by coastal wetlands. Once having settled in a local environment, a rather broad range of customers emerge. Public authorities, NGOs and wetlands associations, as well as small and medium agriculture organizations will be targeted. More particular, these major institutions make up an attractive customer pool, hence governmental entities. A successful implementation of a business is greatly dependent on a clear formulation of segmentation, targeting, and positioning. NTB segmented three main parties, namely first, government agencies and public authorities, second, NGOs, who are in particular focusing on environmental protection, and lastly, universities and other research institutions. Despite NTB's defined two targeting audiences, it wants to offer its service to the primary target government agencies, as NTB believes that the legal entity contains the needed power, resources, and responsibilities to protect and preserve wetlands in India. The focus on the government can also be reflected in NTB's defined positioning statement. For governmental entities and agencies whose mission is to protect and preserve the environment, NTB is a consultancy firm with cutting-edge space technology applied to get more data through Earth observation, giving clients the most reliable information from wetlands that can be used for its protection. This unique service offering will enable wetlands preservation and accelerate a long life cycle of relevant ecosystems. As mentioned throughout the presentation, NTB is positioned between a midstream and downstream level. However, due to its special focus on its end users through their consulting service, it can be placed more strongly towards downstream. Moving on to the 7 Ps, I will now stress the 3 key marketing aspects, namely people, product, and promotion. As we already stressed the importance of NTB as a consulting firm, its human resources present major elements. The NTB team is composed by the general CEO, CFO, CMO, and COO, and local hires, making it a global team. Next, the product itself is crucial to be mentioned. The service consists of the creation of tailored reports for our different stakeholders according to the specific needs, based on the obtention, processing, and analysis of Earth observation data. In order to offer our users constant access and interaction with the product innovations, a web page and mobile app was developed, enabling customers to access images and updated data about wetlands on a real-time basis. Lastly, it is important to promote NTB's services and thereby attract potential customers. This will be done by publishing valuable information, stressing importance of wetland preservation, and similarly, information exchange can be realized via NTB's LinkedIn page. Furthermore, traditional promotion activities will be implemented like field visits, calls, mails, and lastly, technological and environmental exhibitions.
Now, we're going to enter the 5th and final phase of the VCW, Consolidate Value. To start with the Consolidate Value 5th phase of the VCW, we use the Business Model Canvas as a tool to identify the most important variables we need for launching our business. Out of the 9 variables composing the BMC, we would like to highlight the key partners where NTB wants to develop close ties with the local authorities of the 36 districts of Maharashtra, Ramsar, and UNEP. As key activities, we will focus on the transformation of EO wetland data into comprehensive reports utilized for wetland preservation and protection. We want to develop close, strong relationship with government agencies, public authorities, and wetland associations through our online channel and our offices in Maharashtra. As for customer segments, primary target are Indian governmental entities like the Government of Maharashtra, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare. Moreover, for the revenue stream, income will be generated through the subscription from different clients with different tariffs of plans that could be monthly or annually. We reevaluated our KPIs, organizing them into 4 categories: VCW framework, data management platform, employee branding, and contractual collaboration. In total, 4 out of 9 KPIs have been accomplished at this point. The 5 remaining are 1 from data management platform, customer satisfaction and high retention rate. The 2 of employee branding, which are the most important ones, include the stakeholder feedback and have the team complete by March 1st, 2022. And the last 2 of the contractual collaboration, break even by January 1st, 2027, and partnered with at least 5 local wetland companies by December 31st, 2022, which are the most important KPIs for the future. Entering the 3Ms model, for manpower, NTB key decisions makers are the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, and the COO. The CEO is fluent in English and Hindi with high leadership skills to make the adaptation process into the Indian market faster and more effective. The CFO will oversee the handling of all the accounts of the company, the budget, the realization of forecasts, and an overall control over the revenue and financials of the company. The CMO will be responsible for looking for new partnerships, maintaining and improving relationships with the current customers, and administration of the NTB social media. Finally, the COO will be managing the overall operation of the business, from acquiring all the data from drones and satellites to the correct functioning of the web page and the mobile app to guarantee that all customers can access the information whenever they need to. Besides the managing team, NTB will require a team consisting of a corporate lawyer to handle all the legal matters, to be able to launch the business in India, software developers to create and maintain the web page and the app, and data scientists, preferably with a background with EO technology and biology, to get, interpret, analyze, and modify all of the obtained data to create the reports needed by our customers. For the second minute, we divided it in 4 different stages. We start first with commitment, which we plan to start in the first quarter of 2022 with the recruitment process for all the workforce needed to develop and consolidate the prototype, while looking and contacting possible partners, while also designing the marketing plan to promote the launching of NTB services. For the second part, traction, starting in the second quarter of 2022, we plan to officially launch our webpage app and the social media to push forward on consolidating our client portfolio and improving existing relationship with our current stakeholders. The third phase, refinement, which will start in the third quarter of 2022, we're going to start evaluating the overall satisfaction with our performance with our customers to get key insights to improve our internal processes and effectiveness, and also reevaluate our KPIs accordingly to our stakeholder feedback. Finally, for the last part, scaling, that will start in the final quarter of 2022, we plan to start expanding our business by using the VCW to find new markets suitable for NTB services, while also attending multiple events at a national and international level to reach for new possible partnerships and customers. For the last M, money, we calculated a budget for our first year, which is around 125,000 euros, which is equivalent to approximately 10 million rupees. HR and rent services account together for more than 90% of the budget. This cost includes salaries, health insurance, funding costs, taxes, equipment such as computers, servers, web development, and cloud storage expenses. For the obtain of raw data, we will partner up with Garuda for the drone services and DH Grass for the usage of satellites, significantly reducing our operation costs. To finish our presentation, now we're going to focus on the upcoming goals and key findings. As first steps, we have to start recruiting locally in India, get our physical space, create and establish the key partnerships, and also get and sign the first customers. For the upcoming, we need to start getting customer feedback to use it to improve internally and keep monitoring our KPIs to be able to comply with our long-term objectives. Our main findings during the projects were that we needed to keep an understanding of the most important environmental issues directly affecting wetlands, so we can identify Maharashtra as an optimal starting market, where we need to familiarize more with the culture to adapt as quickly as possible to have better results, but knowing that it can be a slow process given the current situation with COVID-19, which is constantly changing, so it might affect the way we operate and will establish our business.